Hey everybody, so it's Dr. Cardinal here, and yesterday I tried to make this video and it didn't work out, so we're going to redo it again today and hopefully be able to give you guys some information that is extremely useful. So the purpose of this video is to help people that have sore low backs, help people that are rehabbing back injuries, and it's not meant to be diagnostic in nature. This is just what I do for myself when I've had sore back or back injuries that I'm recovering from and with my patients. So our primary objective when we have an injury is to first stabilize the area, second, reduce pain-sensitive stimulus, and third, add in mobility and flexibility. And so we're going to be doing this in a multiple-part series that I'm going to be calling Rebuilding the Back. And so essentially, this is how I would go from a very basic program of just introducing movement and core stiffening exercises to a dynamic thing such as a clean and jerk or a deadlift. And today we're going to be talking about a few main things. First of all, we're going to mention a 90-90 hip lift, which is going to be a way that you can decompress your back at home. Decompressing the back is going to take some pressure off of the nerve roots, it's going to take some pressure off of the discs, and it's going to help downregulate that hypersensitive area so that the brain can now allow movement. The next thing we're going to progress into is called the McGill curl-up. The McGill curl-up is a variation of a crunch, essentially, that limits the amount of lumbar bending and helps to teach people how to properly use their core throughout a movement without letting that relax down. From there, we're going to progress to removing our back from the ground. When we remove our back from the ground doing a plank or a side plank, our main objective is to create force through our core that is able to resist the shear motion of gravity. A lot of times when you get that shearing motion is when you get soft tissue injuries, disc injuries, joint injuries, things like that. And so if we can create resiliency to the shearing motion, we can have a stronger back, a back that is able to handle external stimulus and is less likely to be injured. And then the final thing we're going to be doing in this video is putting our back down on the ground again and creating stiffness through the core so that we can move our extremities. By doing a dead bug, we are stabilizing our lumbopelvic region and our ribs, keeping that all pushed down into a tight position, and then we're moving our ball and socket joints, our shoulder and our hip, at a cross pattern. And what that's doing is that's creating a stimulus of a long moment arm that is hard to resist. It's creating the ability to resist rotational forces, which are very dangerous in the back if not controlled. And it is also helping us separate our abdominal control from our diaphragm control. So I'm going to show you guys how to do all these things. Hopefully it makes sense. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer questions. If you feel like you have an underlying condition that is what's causing your pain, come in and get evaluated. If you don't live close by, I'll help you find someone who can do an evaluation for you. This is not meant to be diagnostic. This is just a way to help people who have had, underlying low back pain from, not being able to go to the gym, sitting on the couch too long, yada, yada, yada. Stabilize their back, get out of pain quickly, and get back to doing what they love to do without having to go in and take a bunch of meds, do a bunch of exams, whatnot. I believe that you should have the power to control your life, and this is just one more way of doing that. So we're going to get through the exercises here, and hopefully they all make sense to you.
Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is called a 90-90 hip lift. It's aptly named because my legs are at 90 degrees, and all I'm going to be doing is using my hamstring to gently lift my hips off the ground, so you can see that there. The goal of this is to help separate the lumbar spine and the sacrum just a tiny bit and provide gentle traction to the joints that allows for the brain to accept that a little bit of flexion is okay. It also downregulates some of the nervous inflammation that might be shooting sciatica-like pain down your low back. So pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push into the chair to use the back of my legs to just barely lift my butt off the ground. Notice how I'm not using my stomach, so I can breathe into my stomach without changing my hip height. So what are we going to do to help this improve the brain's ability to relax? We're going to take deep, slow breaths and use the parasympathetic downregulation similar to like Wim Hof breathing. So what I'm going to do here is squeeze, deep breath in, let it all sink into my stomach, and just let that back stretch out and then relax. You can do this either for time or for breath repetitions. At first, it's kind of tricky to get everything to feel right, so I recommend doing 5 to 10 breaths and then relax 3 to 4 times. And we're going to do this before we jump into any of the core stabilizing exercises, just so we create a better environment to work with. So for the second thing we're going to be doing, it's a McGill curl up. The nice thing about the McGill curl up is it helps to provide feedback for the control of our lumbar spine. How we're going to use that is the back of our hand goes under our back. So just like this, the opposite knee comes up. That's going to flatten our back into our hand a little bit, relieve some of the pressure. The next thing we're going to do is I am now using my core to push into my hand. Throughout this exercise, I want to maintain this pressure. So if this happens, you're doing either too many or you're doing too hard of a progression. So first things first, I'm going to tighten that up and then gently lift my leg, bring it back down. At which point you can relax, but if you're doing multiple repetitions, do not relax between. So here, and just moving my leg. If that is easy, then I'm going to progress to this leg and my opposite arm and just lift off the ground, come back down. If I find that putting my arm is too hard to maintain core control, then what I'm going to do is put my hand on my core so I can feel the contraction and feel also in my back with this hand that I'm not losing any tension. I'm going to lift my leg and just my shoulders. This is an excellent exercise because it's creating stability for the spine and it's activating your abdominal wall, but you're not creating hyperflexion or hyperextension of the back, which might cause a little bit of pain if you already have a sensitive back.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just our basic plank. And it sounds simple, but a lot of people don't do planks quite correctly. So when we're doing our plank, we want our core to be protecting our back. We don't want our back to be supporting our weight. And so how we do that is, instead of doing a plank like this, what I'm going to do is spread my feet slightly, squeeze my butt, and then pull my elbows. And you can hear my voice shaking. When I pull my elbows towards my feet, that activates my core greatly. So if I'm doing this, it's not that much of a challenge, but once I bring that to more neutral spine and pull it in, it gets quite challenging. So when I'm doing core for a rehab purpose, my goal is 15 to 20 seconds of maximum contraction. So I'm trying to pull that in as hard as I can, use all of my abdominal wall to support the shear force of gravity and alleviate all pressure from my lumbar spine. When I do the side plank, it's the same idea. Instead of having my feet together though, I want to stagger my feet. If you have a sensitive back, we want to increase our base of stability. In our next progression series, we're going to remove some of the stability because now we're trying to create stability through our core, not just our base. And for now, we're just trying to lay the foundation for that progression. So how does that look? Just like this. So feet heel to toe, and then I'm going to bring this bottom hip forward and then squeeze up. So you see, I'm not like this. I'm actually locking in with my side as hard as I can. Again, 10 to 15 seconds. Don't roll forward. Don't go really far back. Try and stay pretty neutral here and just make sure that this butt isn't kicking out. It's coming nice and through. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. 10 to 20 seconds. 15 is kind of my ideal, but do what you can and progress forward. Okay, so when we're doing the McGill curl up, the back of our hand is providing feedback so that we know whether or not we're losing that tension through our core and letting our back arch too much. When we're doing a dead bug, you can do it a bunch of different ways, but to start out, I'd like to use a foam roller to provide feedback as well. And so a traditional dead bug is going to look, you're going to tighten up your core so your back's pressing into the ground,
You're going to drop an arm and a leg. And you see how I didn't do this. So a traditional deck bug isn't extremely challenging to do, but if you've never done it, you might not understand exactly how to keep that tightness through the core while your extremities are moving. So we're going to throw a hack. I'm going to put the foam roller between this knee and this forearm. So now to hold that in place, even just holding it now, I have to push and tighten up my core. So when it's there, push and bring it back. If that's too hard, just do a leg, just do an arm. And if that's too hard, hand on the core, feet kind of neutral, and just squeeze as hard as you can into the foam roller with your knee and your forearm. I promise you, you will feel that activating in your core. That is all setting us up to be able to support external forces acting upon our body, and then we can handle them and have injury prevention through a resilient and strong core. So give it a shot. If you have any questions at all, let me know and I'd be happy to answer.